while you open the stream as well. Just... I'm seeing that we're not live right now.
I think we're live.
We are.
Looks like
Oh, we
live.
are. Oh, it might be. It just didn't update for me. I think I might have just had a dead tab.
Although I think I am inaudible. Oh no, I am. I'm just quiet. Let me boost that a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
I heard you.
Yeah, that should be good. Hola, Bobbit.
Yeah, gotta give Bobbit some love. Can you do a /me in this?
What's up? Can you guys hear me?
Hey, yeah.
Yep, we can hear you.
Zeph, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
I can't hear y'all.
Oh, awkward.
Mr. Linux, man.
Alright, I got it. Hey, kids, you be on my chat, okay? What's wrong? Hey, what's wrong? Here's the one. My mommy says too. Alright, sorry, gotta put the kids to bed.
No worries.
Caleb was sad
Oh,
because we didn't let him play Minecraft.
Aw.
well, shoot.
It's because
Oh.
he woke up with a headache, and we're like, it's probably because you're looking at the computer too much the night before.
Yeah.
So we're like, no screens today.
I've heard that one before.
He's not happy. Not happy.
It's all right. When I was like in 8th or 9th grade, my dad used to put my like iPod Touch or phone on top of the fridge whenever I had too much screen time. I couldn't reach it at that point. It would be really obvious if I was trying to go get it, right? I'd be like, go grab a chair or something. Did you just mod yourself, Zeph?
I did, because I couldn't get the verification email on my laptop. It was being really jank.
Oh, is that why I'm no longer? Am I still modded?
No, I think you're mine. I'm just saying, I used to be the ND Lug user, but I haven't signed it on my laptop, and for some reason I couldn't get the verification email. Like I didn't see it coming in.
Oh, I see. So then you made yourself mod. I got you. I
Whatever.
got you. Cool, cool.
Hey chat, are the audio levels okay?
I don't think is anyone in chat?
Yeah.
Oh, athletic vegetable.
Whoa.
Cool.
Let's go.
Unfortunately, you've got me subbing for AKK in terms of stream host. So Apologies for any bumps in the road.
That edge room internet.
I know, it's wired for me, but it's still edgy roam. Actually, Gavin, can you believe this? So,
What up?
we have bandwidth caps, right? Because
Uh-huh.
of all the zooming and stuff. So I was getting better internet in Keenan than I am in Bomber, because Keenan was uncapped.
Really?
So I was just getting symmetric gigabit.
Oh
which
my
is what
gosh.
my motherboard was capable of. And in Bomber, you only get like 100 up or 100 down and 20 up.
Oh wow.
It's pretty sad.
Interesting.
Wait, are we live?
We are live.
Yeah, we're alive.
Oh shoot.
Sorry, I probably should have warned you.
Oh yo, I know Mark from Cuba. What's up, Mark? How's it going, dude? How's the weather in Havana? Are you smoking on a cigar right now, Mark?
Yeah, we've got
we
Gingless.
allowed-
So AKK couldn't make
are we
it
allowed
tonight.
to, are we allowed to talk about smoking on our
Oh, I'm
podcast?
sorry.
Thought this was a Christian podcast.
My mistake.
Seabass, some newbie lug, nice to meet
What's
everyone.
up, Seabass?
Hey, Seabass.
All right, should we get going
Cool.
with
Let's do
All
it.
right.
with the strem?
Let's do it.
Alrighty. So welcome to the podcast. Bowie, Gavin, what you been up to this week? Actually, Gavin, do you just want to introduce yourself for those who might not know you?
Sure, yeah. I'm Gavin. I'm the Lug Vice President, Senior, CS Major, former Siegfried resident for 3 years, and then now I live off campus as a senior. Yeah. Currently in the process of laying low during a pandemic, which I
Nice.
think all of us kind of are. Searching
Yeah.
for some gerbs, that kind of business. So
Is that what you've been up to this week? Gerb searching?
I've been up to a couple things this week. Yeah, job search / interview stuff is one. Hacktoberfest has been exciting
sorry.
this year.
I'm sorry. I think you meant Spamtoberfest.
Oh, pardon me. Spamtoberfest has been quite exciting. I managed to get my 4 PRs all in, so
Nice.
excited to get a new T-shirt in the bag.
Did you change some comments in the code?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, purely text changes.
Amazing project.
Yes, I said, yeah, exactly. At the bottom of every amazing
Great
project.
work.
Yeah,
Remove white space.
I feel like I was thinking of that. I feel like a better strat would be just like for these people to just copy contributing MD templates onto repositories that don't have one, because like they're pretty like 1-to-1 across like projects. You know,
They're
There's
not very
many
I still understand-
differences.
The thing
Yeah.
is, you can easily collude. You just have your friend create
Yeah.
a public one, and you PR that, and
Yeah.
then you do the same thing for your friend. I mean, not to condone this. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
ND Lug
Now,
just
Charles-
spawns like 14 projects or something.
Charles in the chat says that
Oh.
if you want a referral to Amazon, to hit him up. So
Patreon.
unfortunately, I think Gavin is already already has a connect with Amazon. So
Yeah.
AWS.
Oh,
there you
AWS specifically. I'll hit you up, Charles. AWS is what I'm looking for. That's it.
So what else besides the Gerber interviews, Gavin?
I've been watching the NBA Finals. You know, Game 3 was pretty exciting. Game last night. Game last night was really good, but then the Lakers kind of pulled ahead. You know, it was a close game throughout, but I am definitely rooting for the Heat. So a bit bummed at this point, but
It's
yeah, it's
King
not
will
looking
not
too
be
great.
overthrown.
Yeah,
King will
I'm
not be
not
overthrown.
too optimistic.
I hope they take another game or two, but in the end, the Lakers are too much. I mean, they
Yeah.
have a pope and a king. That's not fair.
It's true. Yeah,
It's
it's the
not fair.
Crusades.
It's more
They
power
win.
than any team has the right to.
Yeah.
So, wait, you got new glasses, Gavin? What's that all about?
I just put that on there. I'm getting new glasses. So my current glasses, all this stuff's in my bathroom. I'm not gonna grab it, but my current glasses are like a little crooked, so like I just wear them at night when I take my contacts out. But Warby Parker has this thing where you can ship out for free 5
Yeah.
frames to try on, and then you ship them back and then buy the ones
And they're
that
not
you
even
like.
expensive once you buy them.
Yeah,
Like,
they're only like,
compared to-
I think it's going to cost me $95 for a pair of glasses, which like if I were to go to my eye doctor, it would be a lot more.
Yeah, even with insurance, you end up spending a lot of money. So, Warby Parker, good
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to get a new style. Yeah,
Nice, man.
yeah, it's pretty much.
Am I like the only person that doesn't wear glasses? It seems weird. Like all 3 of my sisters wear glasses. My wife wears glasses. All her sisters wear glasses. I'm like the only person like doesn't wear glasses. It's really weird. But I stare at the screen like the most, so I don't know.
I guess you've just got like Chad
You're the-
gamer programmer eyes.
Yeah, I guess I just
You're
got
the
good
chosen
genes.
one.
Wait a
Well,
second.
well adapted.
All right, Sentit Fern or Zephin, what have you been up to?
Honestly, it's not been an exciting week. It's been catch up on midterm projects and essays, and that's kind of all I've been up to be honest.
That sounds like student life stuff.
It's been student life, yeah. Not programmer life or hacker life. I haven't been participating in Hacktoberfest, unfortunately.
Sad.
I know, very sad.
I got my 4 PRs in like at midnight before they changed the rules. It was all
nice.
all to void packages, just like packages that I haven't updated for like a month.
Nice.
But then I kept getting closer to October. I was like, you know what? I'll just wait. So, they all got merged, so I should be good. I finally today finished, while I was in the office briefly at around 5 p.m. today, finished the latest DLC from Minecraft Dungeons.
Nice.
I beat the Winter Wraith all by myself with my spider armor. I'm very proud of myself.
Working hard or hardly working in that office of yours?
I probably play more games in the office than I do like work in the office. So only took me 2 tries, Charles. Okay, the first time was only because my wife made me turn off the computer. I had to go do something else. So. Please, I only play video games at work.
The waifu. That's pretty low.
I only play video games at work because no one visits me at office hours anymore. No one. Like, it's ridiculous, but whatever.
This is a cry for socialization.
I'm over it. It's COVID's fault. That's who's.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I've been doing at night is I've been watching this TV show called The Warrior. So The Warrior is this. It's actually was based on this story written by Bruce Lee, and he wrote it like in the 70s or 60s or whatever, and he wanted to be the star in it. But then all the TV networks back then were like, "What, Asians on TV? We can't have that. No one wants to see that." And so they actually stole his idea and made another show, but then they made like a white guy be the monk, and it was just like totally dumb. But anyways, this is based on a story he wrote. It's actually set in San Francisco in the late 1800s, and it's sort of like a Western, which is kind of cool because instead of like typical white John Wayne, you have, badass Asian dude who's like stoic and like brooding, which you don't see with Asian people, So like I'm all in on it. The dude's a
You are fully red-pilled on the stoic brooding Asians.
I love this show so much. So I don't know what else to say. I'm on episode 5 or 6 now. I try to watch 2 a night, but not last night because I watched the game. The only problem is it's on Cinemax, and apparently Cinemax said no more original shows, so this is going to get the axe after season 2. I hope someone else picks it up, like Netflix or something.
Yeah.
But they're probably be like, "What? Asians on streaming? We can't have that." So
maybe Amazon pick it up like they picked up The Expanse.
Well, Charles, I'm using the Cinemax Amazon Prime weekly trial right now.
Oh my God.
I'm not paying for it yet. So
But
I'm not paying for it yet.
Suno6 says, I thought you just stripped DRM from all of your content.
No,
Good
dude.
point. Yeah.
I pay for my streaming services. I'm a good citizen.
Doesn't mean he won't
Quote, unquote,
record them
good.
for later viewing.
All right, let's get into our news. So
All right.
we already alluded to this. But last time when we left off last week, we were so promoting, hey, everyone do Hacktoberfest. It's gonna be so great. You get a free T-shirt. And then the next day, everyone's like, Hacktoberfest is the worst thing that's ever happened to open source. It's so bad. You're evil. DigitalOcean's evil. GitHub is evil. Please stop spamming us.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about what happened and what's the problem here?
Honestly, I'm not really up to date with how this went down.
I might be able to talk about maybe should we talk about the one article where it's like this one person is to blame for
Sure.
a bunch of
The how
this?
one guy is to blame. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one. Yeah.
Yeah, so this YouTuber who I think his like primary audience is like beginners, I guess, with computer science and programming, made a video about Hacktoberfest and was trying to like, I think he was making a good faith attempt to show his like audience how to make a very basic pull request on GitHub, and then talked about how doing 4 of these gets you a t-shirt for free. But because his audience is all beginners, there has been a huge increase in spam on GitHub these days, with these PR changes that are literally just like adding an amazing project, which is the exact example he did in his video. And there's thousands and thousands of these pull requests opened across a bunch of repositories, and maintainers are pissed. But this isn't like the first year that this has happened. It happens every year where open source maintainers get inundated with these really low effort change requests, and they kind of are spread thin, because even if they get all this spam, they have to do their due diligence to mark it as spam.
Yeah.
So it's just a tough place to put maintainers in.
Do you think?
And they're upset at DigitalOcean.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. But do you think there's a way we can have these sort of events where we promote people contributing to open source without having this kind of problem, or is this just kind of like inevitable?
Yeah, I don't really know anymore. Like, I think it is kind of inevitable. I think they're doing the right thing by making it opt-in for maintainers, so at least they have a choice now. But I guess that still doesn't necessarily prevent anyone from opening a pull request on your public repository and spamming you. So I don't really know. I'd be curious to hear Bowie's thoughts on if he thinks these kind of contests are viable.
I think it depends on what you're trying to get out of this, right? I think, for instance, from the perspective of, say, Void Linux, Void Linux is actually one of the top projects involved in this. I think at 1 year we were like top 5. We, being Void Linux, was top 5 in terms of contributors, and so they're very like happy to get people come in and contribute, because, to be honest, most of the contributions of Void Linux is very simple. It's literally like bump one number and test it. It's not that hard, but it's work that needs to get done, right? We need to get a newer version of Zoom or whatever, right? It's work that has to get done, and so from the perspective of that project, they're actually very happy with Hacktoberfest. They were actually angry that you had to opt in, and they're like, we don't know if we want to actually go through that process opting in, but they were fine getting PRs. They thought it was manageable. But one thing that was a concern, and one thing that I see with a lot of other groups, is that if the point is to encourage open source contributions, the reality is that to get really good contributors, you need something that's more long-term engagement. Right? Because a lot about open source is, surprisingly, it's all about building relationships, breaking into a community, being mentored and advised. This is something that Drew talks about in his Spamtoberfest article, right? To get really good contributors, you need to build a relationship. And this type of model doesn't encourage that. It really encourages more of a shotgun, I'm just going to sprinkle things all over GitHub, right? However, if you're if your goal is not necessarily I want to produce new contributors, but I simply want to introduce the idea of open source to people, then I think this is a great thing. Because let's be honest, right? Think about, say the typical nerd and even CS major, right?
Mm-hmm.
They probably have no idea of open source. Like they use it, they kind of heard the term, but don't really have any really, conceptual understanding of what open source means, right? And if this is something to simply encourage them to go the next step and say, okay, what does it mean to be involved in open source? I use, GCC or Python or Node.js every day in my stuff. I use VS Code every day. I know it's open source, but what does that mean? I can actually contribute something to these projects? Wow, that's amazing. In that sense, if their audience is, I simply want to pull people in and show them that this is a possibility, a reality, then I think this is fine. And I think that should be made clear, I don't know. I think they were well-intentioned. I think the fact that this is going on for 7 years or 8 years or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and most people have been relatively happy with it. Obviously, some people are like, these have been a problem for years. But, it's honestly, like every year it gets... Thanks, Jock.
Hacktoberfest, hooray!
Seriously. No, but my point was that I think, honestly, every year when we talk about this at Lug, people get so excited. They want to contribute. And I think just having something like that every year, to me, that's a good thing. There are problems. It's not perfect.
Mm.
But I think if you look at the trade-offs, they're not in a way the good and the bad. I think the good outweighs the bad. So
Yeah. What do you think about this, like, from the article you're just talking about? There's a line that says, like, Hacktoberfest is and always has been about one thing, marketing for DigitalOcean.
I mean, if you want to be cynical about it, then that's true, right? But,
Yeah.
like, Hacktoberfest doesn't make me use DigitalOcean. Like, I don't use DigitalOcean. I use Vultr. Like I don't care.
I think so this is true, but then also it does have positive outcomes besides DigitalOcean marketing.
Yeah,
It's
I was gonna say, it's obviously it's marketing. They're attaching their name to this thing, but I agreed with Bowie. Like, I think of this as a GitHub thing first and foremost, that rather than DigitalOcean, and I just think of it as being a reward of a free T-shirt. Like, I don't think of, I'm not marketed towards. I don't feel like I'm not incentivized to use any DigitalOcean product. Things
and there's no strings attached, right? It's not like you can only use projects associated with DigitalOcean, or you have to use the DigitalOcean VM or whatever. It's like, no. But I mean, I also want to point out, Drew mentioned this in his article, is that, one model that he likes is Google Summer of Code, right? And you can make the same argument. Oh, this is just Google marketing, which it is. It's like to show Google is a welcoming place for open source, whatever, right? But many projects get a lot of long-term contributors through Google Summer of Code, right? So having events like this, yes, there is a financial, economic business reason why these companies are doing it. It's not simply out of the goodness of their heart, but they're good side effects. So
yeah, so it's worth it, you think, despite some of the potential spam problems.
So Ethan points out that we talked a lot about DigitalOcean. I've only mentioned one competitor, and so I mean, yeah, it's free advertising. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
not saying it's not that. Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Yep.
And if all we're doing is advertising for DigitalOcean, so I can get a free shirt, I don't care. I like the shirt, so.
Yeah, they're
honestly a worthwhile
cool.
trade.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of economics, let's talk about antitrust.
Yeah, like this article from Reuters.
Yep.
Oh, is this the Oracle Google?
No, this is so the House Democrats have come out with a report basically saying Charles' company is dead, Google's gonna go down, Facebook's gonna go down, AKK's favorite company, Apple, is actually kind of okay. So
I was gonna say that's why he's not here. If they're going down, he just
well, it's not a conglomerate; it's an ecosystem. That's the main.
Oh yeah.
I mean, do you guys? So this has been years in the making, right? This antitrust.
Yeah.
Sentiment, right?
Yeah.
Do you think anything will actually happen? Two, do you think something should happen?
I don't think anything's going to happen. I think that, honestly, these companies are very powerful, and not just like in terms of their GDP and the jobs they create and stuff like that, but literally just also politically. These companies have a lot of political power too. And I don't think, I think it's going to be almost impossible for lawmakers to actually, or policymakers to actually like break them up in this way. This article is pretty extreme, right? It's saying like, oh, this is going to be the end of some of these companies as we know them. But I just don't see it happening.
I mean, but the argument that you made, though, that they're too powerful politically, that's one of the reasons why they're saying that they need to be broken up.
Yeah.
Because they are too powerful politically.
It is very concerning when companies like this get so involved in politics, because you're kind of blurring the lines then between what these are as entities. Like, they're sort of more than just big corporations at that point. So, in that way, I think that there's good things about some of these antitrust arguments, but the solution is not just like, oh, we need to end Amazon and instead take all of its business groups and make them like separate companies or whatever.
What do you
I
think,
agree with
Gavin?
all that. I don't know. I kind of struggle with this. Like, I definitely think that like a company can have too much reach and can have overreach and can have conflict of interest within the services and products it offers. But like I just can't confidently say enough and like point at one of these companies and say like this is a clear like conflict of interest and violates some sort of anti-compete antitrust law. I don't really have a strong opinion either way, and as far as the question of if anything will happen, I kind of agree that I doubt anything's going to happen until there is some sort of majority. If there's a majority Democratic House, Senate, and White House term, then I think something could get passed, but I don't think so. I don't think there would be bipartisan support.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Influx Gaming, welcome to the Lug Podcast.
Also, Charles mentioned some interesting things about Amazon in chat. If you guys saw that Amazon essentially breaks up their company already into separate companies.
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying that Amazon's anticipating that there'll be action. So
I'll see.
I think
because Bezos owns the Washington Post.
I think if the current antitrust measurement is still consumer harm, then I think this is going to be a very tough time using current antitrust laws to tackle these companies, because Google's like, we mean consumer harm. I gave everything away for free.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And Amazon's going to do like, oh yeah, I make everything really cheap. Why is that bad? Like, it's such a hard argument to make. Like, intuitively we know it's bad because they have so much power. But if you look at the current laws, it's like, but am I breaking the law?
Yeah.
Nice Amazon shirt there, by the way, Gavin.
I know. I've been wearing it this whole time. I forgot.
I mean,
I put it on this morning. Yeah.
Like, nothing Google does is actually free, though, is the thing. Like, we pay for all of Google's services, just not monetarily. I mean, Notre Dame does literally monetarily pay for them, but not like the typical user, right?
The average user, yeah.
All right, let's go to the next political/tech article here.
Yeah.
Oracle versus Google. So this is a big one.
I think this has been in the works for so long.
So the idea here is that Oracle bought Java. Well, sorry, they bought Sun, who made Java. So now Oracle owns Java. Java is the language or the environment used to, make Android. Mm-hmm. And so Oracle's like, yo, Google, you didn't license that. Give us some money. And Google's like, nah, brah. I implemented this myself. And then Oracle was like, no, you use our API.
Yep.
And Google's like, yeah, it's the interface. That's fine. And then Oracle's like, no, API is copyrightable. And Google's like, no, This is not what's been done in the industry for like forever. They went to court, and at first the court was like, yeah, Google, you right. And then it was appealed, and then the federal court was like, no, actually, Oracle, you right. Then Google's like, fine, if it was copyrightable, then it's at least fair use. And the court's like, you know what, Google, I agree with you. But once again, it went to the appeals court, and the appeals court's like, actually, Oracle's right. So now everyone's like, WTF? Are APIs, one, copyrightable? Two, if they are copyrightable, can you use fair use as a defense against copying it?
Yeah.
And also, if you look, so right now today it was argued in front of the Supreme Court, and this could have drastic impact on the tech industry. So go ahead, Zephin.
That's what I was gonna say. If APIs are copyrightable, that opens up so much more than just this court case.
Yeah. Yeah, I was reading that article, further down. There was basically an analogy made of patent trolls being applied to like API copyright trolls, right? So like people might sit on a patent and wait for, or sit on a copyright rather, or like sit on a website name. Like we are familiar with these things and basically extort people out of paying for the rights to use it. And there was that analogy extended to this case if things were to happen.
So here's some projects or services that would be deeply impacted if Oracle was right that you can't copyright APIs. One, I couldn't play Minecraft Dungeons on Linux anymore because something like Wine could be illegal because Wine implements the APIs of Windows.
Oh yeah, that's the whole. That's how it works.
That's how it works. So I could not do that.
They would kill all of Linux gaming. Like
think about all the emulators and things you guys use.
Yeah.
People could argue that emulation is illegal because you're copying the interface to another system.
People using their TI-84s on their computers via emulator. That'd be a no-go.
Going back to Amazon and the cloud, right? Amazon has this service called S3, which is used for storage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so popular, what does a company like, say, DigitalOcean do?
They have a copycat.
They implement the S3 interface,
mm-hmm.
right? That can now be illegal, right?
Yeah.
Because they say, wait a second, these endpoints that you're using, these verbs and nouns and terms you're using, we copyright that, right? So you cannot implement an S3 interface on your storage backend in DigitalOcean, right? So that would be problematic because then that reduces interoperability. That creates vendor lock-in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I'm willing personally to concede that, yes, I think APIs are a creative expression. I think it takes a lot of effort to make a really good set of methods and functions and classes. I think anyone that's done any programming knows that naming things is really hard.
Yep.
I completely agree that is a creative expression and you should be able to own that. Where I draw the line, though, is that if someone wants to take those headers, right, and implement it themselves,
yeah,
to me, that's not wrong. You actually look at the case, right? Google wrote 15 million lines of Java code, right? And the infringement part is on about 11,000 lines, which are just the headers. It's stuff like java.lang,
like the interfaces,
array.arraylist. It's like, yes, we support having an array list because that's what the language expects.
Yeah, but the actual functionality is stuff that Google ended up implementing themselves.
So, I don't know. I'm very interested to see how this turns out. It's interesting because right now, because we only have 8 justices, it can end up being in a deadlock. And if that's the case, it goes back to the federal appeals court, which means Oracle will win.
Mm-hmm.
So, just getting 4 of the justices is not enough for Google. They need to get 5, which is going to be a higher bar given that it's 8. So, I don't know. It's something to keep our eyes on, but
yeah, we'll update once that decision comes in. Do we want to talk about the changes to G Suite and something that's definitely not really related to this at all?
I just want to. I just want to see the logos. So I can
you want to
get
read a little bit?
again.
all right, let's rate these logos.
Let's do it. Chat. We should have chat rate them at the same time.
My first take on these logos is, why would they make them all look so similar? Because
yeah,
it's the
Mine
point of
The Drive,
like
the
if
Drive
these are
logo's the same,
small,
right?
Then there's no
Drive
way
is a little different, I
Ugh.
think. Sorry, Zoe.
No, dude, these things they bother me.
Charles said they asked a 4-year-old to do it.
They, you know what? I bet the 4-year-old would love all the different colors. But
You know what? It's very inclusive, I'd say.
the Drive and Google
No?
Meet, yeah, they do. Some of them do look fine. I don't think I have a problem with really like the look of each one individually. It's the fact that these are supposed to be a bundled set, and I get like a logo design or iconography is really complicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of stuff that goes on that like you never even see. But still, I think as a set, this is like going backwards. At least the previous set, even if you thought it looked worse, it was really easy to tell between applications.
I agree with you.
I was gonna say, yeah, like the most important thing for me is the ability to differentiate which is which. Like, I don't care if it looks good. Like, they could be black and white or like red and green for all I care. As long as I can associate one with one and then look at another thing and know that it's not, that it's something else. Like,
Yeah.
it works for me. Like, I often have Drive and Google Docs open at the same time, which I guess apparently with G Suite they're kind of trying to integrate everything into having one tab with all of your apps open. But
That's the
anyway,
so-called like Google
with these
Workspace.
new logos, like, I'm gonna have to second guess every time I click or
How do you feel about
to a tab.
how do you feel about that integration, putting all this crap into Gmail?
I think it's really cool. Like, the video, I don't know if you have the video
I have their little like
on
GIF.
that article.
Yeah, I've got their.
Oh
GIF
yeah,
logo.
this. Yeah, I think this is really cool, but like, I don't see the practicality for me personally because I don't find myself like multitasking across Google apps that often. Like, I'm not going to be in my email and then be like, oh, I need to write some notes right now. I want to do it in the same tab. I don't know. I'd rather have it like as a separate document and not even think of it on the same plane as my mail.
Yeah,
You know-
and I think you still can. So I don't think this is
Yeah, I'm sure you
significantly
can.
changing any of the current functionality. So
Maybe you're not the intended audience. Like I don't use Gmail, so like this just looks disgusting to me. But my kids are about to start using Google Classroom, and I could see the pitch of having this sort of one-stop shop where you have your chat with your form,
Yep.
your email, your docs,
your
all
video
in one place.
conferencing, all of that.
Video
Yeah,
conferencing,
video conferencing. That part's cool.
all
I guess,
that,
yeah.
all of that, for Google Classroom, like that would make so much sense for my kids. Because like right now, like one big problem my wife and I have is like teachers will be like, okay, go on Zoom, but here's a Google Doc and here's this email and here's some other thing. It's like, I can't keep track of this. I can't keep track of my own stuff. Like, I'm supposed to keep track of everything for my 3 kids. It's like impossible.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So that sense
if
unification
it's in one
is really
one
useful.
location, yeah. So I can see why they're doing this. I personally wouldn't use it. Like, I use Google Drive, as you know, like with presentations and stuff. But like, that's all I use. I don't use the integrations with stuff. I don't need to, so I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, the only Google products I use are Mail, Drive, and Calendar. So
All right. So speaking of products,
agree.
we'll never probably use. Let's talk about this Librem Awesome here.
Okay.
Oh, that looks cool. Yeah. It's neat.
So Librem, if you're not aware,
don't
is
use
a
it.
company whose pitch is they make like Linux open source hardware that's supposed to be like ultra private and secure.
Mhm.
Caleb, full disclosure, has a Librem 13, which he's very happy with, which is a laptop. But the Awesome is a slightly different product. Stefan, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I don't know too much about it, but basically, this is their shot at making a cellular plan. So, like, literally, it's a SIM card. Haha. The idea is you pay this $100 a month, and you've got the Librem privacy at your fingers at the cell level, theoretically. Although they don't, obviously, they use other carriers for their service. I think they're using
they're
Verizon.
T-Mobile and
No, T-Mobile and AT&T.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're GSM.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're GSM. So, I don't know. I never thought about like a new one of these vendors that piggyback on other cell services. There's a lot of them. The market's actually pretty crowded already. There's a lot of people or a lot of companies that do that.
Yeah, so they're called MVNOs,
Did not
and
know that.
and I actually use one. I've used basically I'm really cheap and I don't really need a cell phone plan, but I need it just in case as an emergency. So I like buy the bargain basement carriers
Yeah.
that basically use the existing network. So the current one I use is terrible, so I'm not going to name it. It's basically a data-only plan that works on the AT&T network. So I don't get voice, I don't get text, I only get data. I get
Such a
1
thing
gig a
exists?
month, and it's $50 a year.
Wow.
That's all I pay.
So
I imagine
that's so
you are
cheap.
deprioritized to high
Wait.
heavens.
So you never make audio phone calls?
No, so to make audio
Alright.
phone calls, I use a service called Jump Chat, which gives me a SIP or voice over IP number.
Oh yeah, VoIP. Yeah.
So I just use my mobile data. I'm usually next to a Wi-Fi, so it doesn't really matter. So
Oh, that's
quality's
cool.
fine.
That's some frugality. I like that.
And so another company that I will name, which I really enjoyed, which uses the Sprint network, rest in peace, is Tello. With Tello, you can get 1 gig a month with voice and data if you want for $6 a month.
Also, if they do use the Sprint network, then that just means their service got better, because Sprint uses the T-Mobile network.
You would hope.
Too.
You would hope. But who
Like
knows?
I'm on a Sprint plan, and so literally when
Are you?
T-Mobile
Okay.
acquired them, I just got way better coverage and like actual 5G too.
Nice.
So I think so. Librem's whole shtick, right, is this what I've got on my screen right now, is the fact that they don't register your customer identifiers, right? They literally just register them internally.
But you can get that with any MVNO though.
Yeah,
you know?
that's why that's literally what I was
So that's not unique?
about. So what is their unique selling point?
Is it the OS?
It's honestly branding.
No, because it's literally just a SIM card. Like that's all.
I know, but it's branding. It's the idea is that
Oh, wait.
by doing this, you're supporting the development of this privacy conscientious company and service.
Oh shoot! I was looking at the Librem 5. My mistake.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
At $100 a month, that's ridiculous.
That's pretty steep.
It is unlimited though. It is unlimited.
But that's still steep for an unlimited.
Yeah. I mean, you can get for instance, use Mint Mobile, which gives you a lot of data for like $25 a month. I think maybe unlimited is like $35 a month. That's a MVNO that uses T-Mobile, right? Like Ting, which sponsors a bunch of Linux podcasts. Do you ever listen to any? Is
And
another
LTT.
MVNO. Yeah, and they support like Verizon. I think they also support T-Mobile at one point. Like, you can actually switch different networks, and that starts at $6 a month.
Yeah.
You know,
So
like
it does seem
if
to be
you
pure
want
marketing.
this ability, yeah, this is Librem. I mean, Purism unfortunately is like basically a marketing company with like so-so products these days,
Yeah.
which is really sad.
Like privacy as a service. Quote. Speaking of marketing, by the way, do you want to talk about Firefox's new marketing?
Why don't you pronounce this one for us?
The internet. Okay. We've talked about Mozilla and Firefox before. They're once again slightly rebranding their browser, because I think after the whole disaster with them cutting some of their dev team, I think they had a lot of people drop off their user base, including myself. So that's what they're saying here. They're talking mostly about their built like baked-in privacy features, and this like shine light on political ads that's talking about like their tracker protection that's once again baked in, and put it on Facebook that's like baked in Facebook containers. So a lot of this what they're talking about here are features that they just bake into Firefox instead of having to install plugins for, which I mean is cool, but that's what's going on. it's not necessarily that like Firefox is the only browser that can provide you with these features. Chromium with right plugins can do the same.
Chromium doesn't have the unfrick the internet messaging. So.
You know
But
what?
how do you
That's a
how do
great
you, how do you
opportunity for
feel about
community
how do you feel about this marketing though?
I think they're trying to get young people to use Firefox. They want the Zoomers on Firefox.
Is this gonna get the Zoomers though?
They want some retweets.
Yeah, they're going for that like shock value. And you know what? They should have just sent it and actually put the U in there. But
to me, this is just like, I don't know. How is this helpful? Like, make your browser better. I don't know.
Yeah, and actually, that's
cool
the thing.
gifts,
Like I said, most of these features, like they're baked in, and they actually have been since like Quantum launched, pretty much.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, I'm glad they're at least trying to get the word out. Maybe this will convince some people.
It does shed some light on some of the problematic parts of just like open browsing. So.
But
nice.
I doubt this moves the needle.
Yeah. Me either.
Yeah.
Speaking of moving the needle, though, big release this week. I know you've been waiting for it.
We have all been
Python 3.9. Python 3.9. Charles, are you excited about Python 3.9? This is huge, dude. This is huge. Actually, I don't know. What's the biggest changes?
There's some union operators on maps or on.
Oh, yeah,
disks,
this
rather.
union
That's cool.
operators on disks. Oh, actually,
Or
for my
rather.
compiler kids, guess what? Python actually used to use an LL1 parser, but now that's gone. They're using a PEG parser. Now, Gavin, you've taken compilers, so why don't you school us? What exactly does that mean?
Dude, I'm not sure what PEG is. I don't think we learned that. I really have no clue. Did we learn, Student 06 gang, did we learn about PEG compilers?
Also, I took compilers. You can also.
Oh, and sorry, Zach.
I didn't take, no, PEG? No, literally in chat, the user.
Oh. Someone said PEG is, LALR, but you get to prioritize. Gosh. Yeah, I'll be honest. I need to go back to that textbook before I can speak anything meaningful about the type of compilers here.
So this PEP. So if you guys don't know, PEP in Python is a way to do like basically a request for comments, and that's how they extend or modify the Python ecosystem. So in this PEP, they talk about why they want to move beyond the LL1 parser to PEG, and at the bottom, we talk about its performance implications. So from what I recall, it uses a little bit more memory, but it's also a little bit faster. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. It also says like to support the LL1 parser, they had to do a lot of dirty hacks because with the LL1, you have to have a more restrictive grammar. But with the PEG parser, they can now do they can now introduce new syntax, which was not possible with the current parser. So what this probably means, unfortunately, is that Python will probably start breaking the syntax or extending the language even more with different keywords and things like that. But I think it's interesting to me personally, I think it's really interesting to see a language evolving. That it started off with like it's just a dumb scripting language. It's interpreted to it gets a bytecode compilation. It gets these optimizations. It improves its parser. It improves how it does dictionary representation. It's like these are all things that you could have done previously, but when you're building a language or a system or a tool, you kind of want to get like the simple thing that works out first, and you evolve over time. And I think managing that evolution is actually really hard,
especially with Python, which is so widely used now.
Exactly, and so I think we take it for granted how hard it is to really move a project forward. Like the transition between Python 2 Python 3 was terrible. I agree. But personally, now that I use Python 3, like I don't really miss Python 2. Like I'll throw in a decode, encode at the end of my strings or whatever, if I remember. But otherwise, at this point, it's fine. Charles is like, you gave it. Like, I told Charles before he graduated, I'm gonna be Python 2 forever, man. I'm gonna be Python 2 forever.
Yeah.
Not true. So, in other news, unless you guys want something else about Python.
No,
Now we're good.
I think so.
So in other
Didn't
news,
have anything else to add.
the Free Software Foundation is celebrating its 35th birthday.
And celebrating by introducing a pop-up on their website that asks me to donate.
And so one way you can donate is you can buy a shirt. So if you click on that, I actually bought that shirt, the one on the right there.
Yep.
And so it was only $35,
That's pretty
not
neat.
surprisingly. But FSF, as you're not aware, is sort of the partner, sister, cousin organization to GNU, which makes all the software that we use, like LS, GCC, for instance. FFS is sort of our civic outreach arm, and they do like education, promotion, things like that. They do a lot of cringy stuff. 100% true.
Yeah.
But,
But a lot of good stuff too.
Like
A lot
that
of good
video
stuff,
we
too.
watched earlier this semester.
Yeah.
So,
Oh
The
boy.
superhero thing.
if you want to throw
Definitely
the FSF a bone, buy a shirt, do whatever. DigitalOcean's gave you a free shirt, so you might as well buy a shirt from FSF. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
True. You can also try a
Facts.
fully free distribution of GNU/Linux if you want to celebrate.
Really live it up.
You really live it up.
All right, let's wrap it up with let's go to the 11th article. I want to talk about this. I think
Okay.
this would be interesting, especially
Yeah.
since Charles is here. This was a Hacker News post. What is the essential skill needed to be a programmer? So a lot of people had very interesting thoughts here. But Charles, what do you think, Charles? Now that you're a big man working at AWS, what's the essential skill needed to be a programmer?
You know, 16 muscles.
Deep dive. What does that mean, Charles? Deep dive.
Oh, nice.
Gotta dig until you
So-
find the answer.
Yeah,
So
scratch the
basically,
itch.
learn how to use Stack Overflow is what I'm hearing here.
But learn how to use it properly.
Okay, that sounds very Moreau. It sounds like grit here, dude. You're telling people to have a growth mindset.
Learn how to get the TA to give you the answer.
Nice. Student 06 gang knows. Just use Vim.
Just
Oh,
use Vim,
okay,
you'll be
true.
fine. Yay.
You get the right plugins.
All right, Gavin. What do you think? What do you think is an essential skill to being a programmer?
Well, all right. Well, before I say mine, I was reading this thread, and of course, there's like a bunch of like head ass comments from these people on Hacker News who just probably spend their lives on there. Some guy goes like, first and foremost, I think literacy is an essential skill for programmers, and I'm like, dude, nice answer. Way to
Nice.
go, you cracked the code. Thanks. We everybody, nothing else to do here. Let's go home. But like, no,
There it is. Knowing how to use a keyboard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Tabcac. This is it. This is the one.
That's what I
like,
mean. Yeah,
are
it's
you
for sure.
serious? Like, is this person like going on the Wikipedia page for like how to write a program and like looking at the
And then the next comment like supports it so hard. Yes, literacy.
I see many beginners who treat a compiler like a black box. Whatever. I don't know. My answer. What is the question even again? What skills for programming
The
do you
essential
find to
skill
be
Yeah.
to be a
essential
programmer.
skills? Yeah, I think I will piggyback off Charles a little and say that you gotta just be like, endurance might not be the best word, but persistence is a better word. You have to be persistent. Like, there's not always one way to do things. You just have to be persistent in trying to find a way that works, and it gets the expected outcome.
And you might
So I
realize
guess with
later
that
your
problem
way
solving,
sucked.
yeah,
It's part of
exactly.
the process.
I think problem solving is definitely an essential skill. I think curiosity is probably the most important skill. I think you will learn a lot as a programmer if you are curious about the things you're using and learning about in school, or just curious about anything, and you find a way to approach it from a software engineering entry point. I think that's the most important, is curiosity. But
How about you, Zephin? What do you
that's
think?
me.
I think the most essential skill would be willing to learn like a mindset rather than a language. Because I think when some people start out with programming, and to preface this, I'm not really a programmer, so this might be BS. But I think when a lot of people start out programming, they're focused more on learning like the language that they're being taught, or how is it you get the things done in the particular tools you're using. When really it seems more valuable to learn more about, or to really focus on like the mental model you need to write programs, and not really caring about like the syntax of whatever you're being presented with as much, but really focusing on.
It's you say that, but it's really funny because if you listen to people talk though, they go, "Oh, what do you learn in FunComp?" They go, "Oh, I learned C or C++."
Yeah.
Or like when students ask me, like literally, like 2 weeks ago, a sophomore emailed me. It's like, "Oh, what programming languages I'm learning in systems?" It's like that's all they care about. What languages am I using?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, we use Bash, Python, and C.
This. Yeah.
But like, I feel like I don't just teach those languages. Like, I don't even really teach those languages, to be honest. Like, I teach this overall, trying to understand what the system is and how to use it, and but they just want to know what languages I'm using.
I think
it's
what
one
skills
I'm getting
to be like, oh, okay, well this is like a really low level language. This like I think it's one thing to say this is like C, right? In that you have to manage all your memory yourself and all that. But I don't know. It seems like the students and people I know who I would consider like the best programmers I know, they all seem to not really care about the language they're working in, but rather like the approach to solving the problem.
I agree with that. I mean, so I agree with a lot of things you said. I think I agree with Charles and Gavin that one of the most important things, as a programmer is definitely persistence. Like the things that I see with beginners is like they have this fear of failure because everything in their life has always been like, I have to be perfect, I have to get it right. And they're so afraid of typing anything to the keyboard, like, because they're like, they don't get it wrong. But it's like, no, it's okay to get it wrong. It's okay if it doesn't compile or you get a seg fault. Like, you fail and you iterate and you move on, Like, I think this ability to accept failure, like, I know I'm a terrible, father, I'm a terrible professor, I'm a terrible son, like, I'm terrible at lots of things, but that doesn't define who I am, right? What defines me is that I know I'm terrible and I improve, right? Like, that's I work to get better each day, and I work to make small changes each day, right? Like, as a programmer, like, you really have to understand, like, you're not gonna write, like, I'm surprised, like, even in class, when I have the code typed out and I type it in front of class and it compiles the first time, I always expect it to not compile or something weird to happen. Because I'm just, that's just normal. Mm-hmm. But I feel a lot of times beginner students, they're just scared of typing things in, The other thing that I think that is really important for particularly beginning programmers is patience. I think so many people are always in a rush to get her done that they don't stop. And as you were saying, Zeph, they don't realize the large impact of what they're doing. They don't try to understand the underlying concepts that's being employed, right? They just sort of do like this monkey pattern matching, right? Like, I see this all the time in sophomores. Like, they see, okay, I know I need to use an if statement, so I'm just gonna put an if here and I'll probably add an else, and well, that condition didn't work, so I'll just add a not there. And it's like, they have the patience to step back, draw a picture, and really think about what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and that can actually save time in the end.
And it can, right? Totally. Don't just monkey around with things. Yeah. Like really think about what you're trying to accomplish. Like, when a student comes to me and they're like, I have a trouble with this, the first thing I always tell them is make an outline in comments. Mm-hmm. As Charles was saying, write pseudocode, right? Yeah. And so, and Ethan, I completely get that. The homework has you in the grind. and my classes are 100%, you know, a
Student
grind fest.
certified.
I could mea culpa, right? But even in the grind though, you can actually reduce that toll by stepping back and trying to understand what you're doing.
Yeah, this is a huge
Right?
thing.
Like this.
Because like right now in logic design, students are working on the block diagrams for their midterm projects, and this is like the exact same. It's very similar, right? It's hardware description, not coding, but it's very similar in the mindset that like the students who spend the most time on their block diagrams and who, you know, really make them detailed and spend a lot of time thinking about what's going where and how things are getting connected, like they actually finish their projects faster than the students who are like eager to start describing hardware, right? So I think it's sort of the same idea there.
And I think part of that is the ability to create a mental model, right? I think Bill talked about this earlier this afternoon. We were talking about this, is the ability to, you know, I tell students all the time, our number one skill as a computer scientist is abstraction, to make lies. I think the ability to hold different lies in your head is really, really important to become a good programmer, right? To be able to see the different layers of abstraction and how they interact and how to manipulate those layers, I think that's a really important skill. So, all right.
Yeah, I think that's a good one to add.
Speaking of skills, I guess it's now time for me to embarrass myself and learn Docker and get on the fly. So I'm gonna go ahead.
What the heck is Docker?
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna share my screen here. And see if I can do this right. So can you see my terminal?
Yes.
Seth?
Yep, we can.
All right. So Docker. So I'm going to try to talk about two things today. I'm going to try to talk about Docker and Git. Mostly Docker, but a little bit about Git. Just basic Git tricks and stuff that may come up. We'll see. So for those of you who are not familiar with Docker, Docker is what we call in systems a container. Now you might be like, okay, what's a container? So you can think about a container as a super duper process. So for the kids in OS or have taken OS, what does a process do? Zeph, Gavin, feel free to jump in here.
A process is a allocation in memory. It is a running instance of a program.
Right. So it abstracts computing. Well, so Athletic Veggie here has this, right? So a Docker container, a container itself, right, is like a process in that it abstracts computational resources. Now, with our normal process, right, we abstract two things. We abstract the CPU, and we abstract what else, Zephin?
What? Besides the CPU, memory?
Yeah, memory. So we abstract the CPU, we abstract virtual memory, so we have virtual memory.
Which is already a huge
So
abstraction.
from the perspective of a process, when it's running, it has sole control of the CPU, and it has sole control of memory. Now, as again, in CS, it's all a lie. It's completely false, but that's the lie we tell. When it comes to containers, we're going to add one more thing, one major thing to be abstracted. What is that?
Oh my god.
Storage
Exactly.
as a service.
No, that's
Yeah.
100% true. And with a container, what we do is we abstract the file system. From the perspective of this quote unquote container process, it has its own file system. Not only does it have its own file system, it is root. It is root, it has its own file system, it has its own CPU, it has its own memory. So in some ways, it's like virtualization, but it's much more lightweight because it's on the level of a process. Okay, so to use Docker, right, you have the program, surprise, surprise, called Docker, right? So Docker has a bunch of stuff. Oh, is it too small? Okay, here we go. Is that better?
I think it was actually fine. Oh yeah, it was a little small. No, your video was small.
Okay.
Oh, your text was fine. If you need more space, your text size was fine.
Okay. Okay. All right. So
Do you want large?
I have-
large peanuts. Suno 6 gang.
what does he want?
I think he wants large peanuts.
Oh God, dude, you're just freaking me out here, man. All right. so we have the Docker command. Now,
Oh, I
if
popped
you don't
up.
have it, if you don't have it installed, you will have to do your sudo
No.
package add Docker or whatever. And then the other thing you need to do is you need to make sure you're in the Docker group. So if you type in groups, it should say Docker in there. If you're not in the Docker group, you have to do user mod a-g Docker, your username, log in, log out, you'll be in the Docker group. Okay, so with all this, you can now do Docker stuff. So one thing you might want to do is you might want to fetch a pre-made image. Okay, so Docker is sort of like this weird GitHub, Git type thing where you can pull different images, that is pre-made packages for you. So for instance, I can do Docker pull and say Ubuntu. And what this is going to do is I'm going to download the latest Ubuntu Docker image.
No way!
Now, what does that mean?
No!
Oh my God, Jock. Sorry.
Sorry. I forgot to
It's
mute
okay.
myself.
No, it's just hilarious. So, you can pull different images, right? Now, various projects will have different images that you can pull. For instance, suppose I wanted to use Python 3, or say Python 3.9, I can do Docker pull Python, I think 3.9. And so what this will do is it will pull down an image that will contain Python 3.9. So if your distribution, for instance, only has Python, say 2.7, you can pull it down. You can pull it down. Okay. So first command you want to know is Docker pull. That will fetch different containers for you. The next thing you might want to do is you might want to run that container. So to do that, you can do Docker run. You can do IT. The I means you want it to be interactive. T means which tag you want to do. So I'm going to say I want to run Ubuntu, and I'm going to run bash. So now, notice how quick that was. Now I am in a Ubuntu Docker container. If I do uname -i, it still sees the kernel that I was using previously, right? So I'm using this kernel. But if I look at this file system, suppose I go to Etsy here, and I cat lsb release, it says, oh, actually, this is Ubuntu 2004. If I go down here and I go to Etsy, and I cat lsb release, well, one thing is, this file does not exist. Because on Void Linux, we don't have that file. So as you can see here, this file system is
What?
isolated from the existing one.
What is wrong with Void Linux?
No, it just doesn't have that file. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So this is a separate isolated container. I can do whatever I want, right? Again, in Void Linux, I do not have apt, right? Apt is not a command. But in Ubuntu, apt is a command. So I can do apt update, and it'll run. So this is actually a really great tool if you want to try out, say, different distributions. If you want to try out Void Linux, there's a Void Linux container. If you want to try out Arch Linux or CentOS, Hannah Montana Linux, I don't think there's an image for that. You can do a pull and then a run, and then you get to use that environment.
It's great
Okay.
for, as Bowie was saying, for just trying to push buttons. It's a good way to do that
Exactly.
without borking your computer.
So because it's isolated, I can do stupid things like, let's do rm star here. Okay. Now it's all gone. Let's add a fr. Okay, it's all gone. And if I exit, if I go over here, I still have my files, praise the Lord, all right? So you can destroy a container, trash it. If I run this again, all the files are there again. Again, each instance of the container is its own separate environment. So that's pretty cool. All right, so that's the basics of loading a Docker container and then running it. Now, what most people use Docker for is as a way to do sort of very janky, hacky static linking. So the idea with static linking is you want to include all the dependencies in a single sort of application. In this case, the application is the container. So to demonstrate this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to download, I'm going to check out Chad Stride. Okay. So I'm going to go to, where's the Chad Stride? Where's the student 06? What's the Chad Stride link? Oh, Student 06. The reason why it's Alpine, because Alpine is very small. It uses Muscle for its libc, and it uses BusyBox for its userland. And so you can make very small Docker containers with Alpine. Actually, Docker hired the creator of Alpine Linux. Creator of Alpine Linux actually was fired from his job, and then he was hired by Docker. I know this because I used to contribute to Alpine Linux, and so I knew the founder of Alpine Linux, and I contributed to Alpine Linux for a while. So wait, Student 06. Oh, is that the link? Okay, good.
It's in
So-
chat too.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do a git clone here. So I'm just gonna clone this.
You could get it
Actually,
from the
I'm
Snap
gonna-
store.
I'm gonna fork it first. Do I have this forked yet? Oh, I do have it forked. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna clone this. So I'm not showing this on my screen, but I'm gonna show the cloning here. All right. So I have Chad Stride. Now, Chad Stride is packaged in a number of ways. I think there is it's in the AUR. Wait, why is this README so jank? Oh, because I forked from a long time ago, I don't have all the changes that Sam has in the latest version of his program. So let me show you this. This is actually a good teaching moment here. So if you fork a project, particularly during Hacktoberfest, what you'll need to do is you want to create your own repo, but you want to keep in sync with what we call upstream. That is the original project. So what you should do is you should add a new remote. So do git remote add, and I'm call this upstream. And then I'm going to add Sam's repo just like that. So what this does is under your git config here, it will add another upstream remote branch that you can pull from. So what you can do now, if I want to synchronize with Sam, I'm going to do a git pull, I'm going to do a rebase, and instead of pulling from origin, that is my original repository, I'm going to do upstream master. What this will do is this will pull all the changes in Sam's repository down to my local. Right? So now if I look at my history, I can see, oh, nice. I get this change from Sam here. You can see that, oh, look, Nolan made a change that was committed. All right? So we got all this cool stuff. So now I have the latest code. I look at the README. What the hell is this HTML garbage? Yikes. Okay. So that's one Git trick. Okay, so one trick is if you want to keep in sync with upstream, what you want to do is you want to do a git add to your local repository, and then you can pull and rebase. Okay, now what I want to do with Chad Stride is I want to make a Docker container for Chad Stride. So let's create a file. This is called a Docker file. Now, I never remember how to make a Docker file, so I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to look at existing Docker file. Sorry, folks.
Because you're in jank, like Linux Zoom, we just see the ghost of your mouse moving around.
Oh, it's fine. So the first 2 lines of a Docker file is usually from, which is what is the base. Oh, is it Docker file lowercase? All right, my bad. All right.
Cringe.
Cringe. All right. So the first thing you want to do is you want to pick a base image to use, right? So right now I have Alpine latest, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to change this to Ubuntu latest. Next is maintainer. That is basically the author of this Docker file. So I'm going to use my personal one. I'm going to GitHub bx12.space. This is what I usually use for my GitHub stuff. Okay. So this is just metadata for your Docker file. Next, what you want to do is, this is basically like a script. You want to put basically commands to run in the Docker file. So one thing I might want to do is I want to make sure all the packages are up to date. So I'm simply going to do apt update apt upgrade. Okay, so that's one thing I'm going to do. Something else I can do is, well, this is a C program, right? So I'm going to need a compiler. I'm going to need make. So on Ubuntu, I can do install build essentials, which will install GCC, let's install make, all that good stuff. So let me go ahead and let me show you what this does. So once I have this Docker file, what I can do is I can then go ahead and build that Docker image. So let's go ahead, let's do Docker build. I can give it a name. I'm gonna call it Chad Stride here. And you want to give it a directory. If you give it the current directory, it will look for the file called Docker file. You can also stream it in, but I'm just do this. And so what this is doing, it's running the commands in order. So it's gonna update, oops. So I got this command wrong. It should be apt upgrade. So let me run this again. So rebuild the image. Now, something I want to point out, that underneath Docker, it sort of uses Git. And what it does is that it will actually snapshot each command that you run so that it doesn't have to rerun that command. So as you can see here, the command failed. And the reason for that is I forgot the -y flag. So I need to say, yes, app, just do the thing. Don't ask. Please, Lord, just do it. So let's try this again. Look, I'm trying to show them what you might face, okay? Let's take this baby steps. So it's gonna go ahead, it's gonna run this. What happened here? Why did it fail?
I guess he did it not find build essentials?
After what?
I think it's build essentials.
No S?
There's no S.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right. Charles, you don't have to laugh, bro. You can just tell us. All right, so you can see here, it's installing a bunch of libraries, a bunch of junk. Okay. Hopefully this will complete sometime soon. All right. So now that we have that, what I can do is I can go into that Docker container, right? So I can do my Docker run command. I can do Chad Stride. Let's do bin bash here. So if I type in GCC, ta-da, GCC is there. Okay, is make here? Make is there. Perfect. Okay. Now, Chad Stride, though, if I recall correctly, uses a library called ncurses. So I'm gonna have to add another library. So do you guys know the name of the library in Ubuntu? Gavin, do you remember?
The name of
Is it just
of
curses? Is it curses dev?
Yeah, that's a good guess. Shoot. Let me check. Let me check. I can check the
lib
hold on,
snap. I can check the
W5
snap
dev.
YAML. Yeah, lib and curses sounds right. Lib and curses W5 dev. There's
Yeah.
2 of them you gotta add, I think.
All right, let's do lib ncurses dev.
5-dev. Check it out.
It will pick the version.
Oh, cool. Might be.
Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's rebuild this again. Now, what you should notice is that it actually skipped the previous commands. It only did the last one. Once again, when Docker builds the image, it actually checks, oh, I've already done this before. It succeeded. I don't have to do it again. Now, suppose you don't like that. For instance, you want to actually update it again. What you can do is you can add the dash no cache flag, and it will build it from scratch. Okay. I'm not going to do that because I want to save time. Okay. Now that we have that, what we need to do is we need to build the application inside the container. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to cheat here. Someone just made a Docker file for Bobbit. So I'm going to look that up real quick. I think it was for Bobbit. Yeah, it was.
You might be able to just do run make now, right?
Well, no, because I don't have the source code yet.
Oh, okay. You're gonna have to curl it. Or
So
something.
what I
Or
can
you
do
can-
is
Yeah, my bad.
I can do the add command. And what I need to do is I need to add the tarball from Chat Stripe. So let's see here. Did Sam cut a release? Let's go to latest here. So Sam has a release here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add that link version 0.6951 here. And so what this should do is this should download that file and put it in the temp directory. Okay, so again, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna build this and I'm gonna run it. If I go to the temp directory, I should see, what? Why is it not there?
Does add work with URLs like that?
I thought
Also,
so.
do you need
Oh, wait,
the second
can't-
ad in your ad?
Oh,
Or is that just
Oh,
a
that's probably it.
paste artifact?
Oh yeah.
paste artifact, my bad.
Yeah, that's it.
Don't judge me. I told you I'm doing this on the fly. All right, let's run this. Let's get a temp. Huzzah, it's there. Okay. So now what I want to do is I need to extract that. So let's do tar. Yeah, that. Temp. Star. Tar GZ. And let's make sure the folder is in temp. All right, I'm gonna do this step by step because I don't know what it will actually do. So let's run this. All right, so now we have a folder. Okay, perfect. So now what I can finally do is I can do cd into this directory. All right, I'm gonna do star here so that way it's version independent. And then I want to run make. Okay, and then actually let's run make install. So what this should do is it should be, thanks Charles. What this should do is it should install the executable. Cannot, oops, this should be cd/temp. All right, let's try this. Hooray! So now if I run this, I should type in Chad Stride, and look, we got a Strider. We got a Strider going here. So there we go. All right, so this is how you can incrementally build a Docker container. Now, one thing I do want to show you is that, you know, you can actually run the executable directly. So you can do, for instance, Docker run, the name of the container, local bin, Chad Stride. And so instead of giving you an interactive prompt, what this will do is we'll actually just run the application. Just like that. Okay, so this is very useful if you have a complicated program with a lot of dependencies. Obviously, this program does not have a lot of dependencies, but you know, it's pretty nice. You can also pass in command line flags. So, you know, let's do a little, let's do some color here. Let's make it red. Let's do a message. Charles sucks, right? So there we go. We got this Chad Stride is red, Charles Stride.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So
Very cool.
oops, let me zoom in. Okay, the final thing I want to show you is there's another command you can add to the Docker file, which is always run this command by default. This is called the entry point. So if I always want to run Chad Stride, right, I can create an entry point where I just say Chad Stride.
How is it different from like the last item, the last run in your
So
run
instead
list?
of having to specify the command to run, it will automatically run that by default. So first let me build it and I'll show you.
No, I mean in your Docker file, because run clearly runs commands too.
Oh, so run means run this to build it. Entry point means run this when you execute it, that is, you deploy your image.
Gotcha.
So down here, when I do,
Oh yeah, because it won't rerun it if it's already built.
so yeah, so down here, if I do run, and I just do Chad Stride, it would automatically run it for me.
Gotcha. Cool.
Okay. So one other cool thing about this is, so let me go ahead, let me build this. I'm gonna put it under my prefix. I'm gonna say pbui Chad Stride. What I can do now is I can do Docker push pbui Chad Stride. And what this will mean is that now anyone else that uses Docker can pull down this image and run Chad Stride. So I basically, what I did is I deployed it into the wider Docker hub. Now anyone else can use it. You just have to do git pull pbui Chad Stride, and you have a working Chad Stride image. Now, as you can see here, Sam is so excited about this. I want to contribute this to his repo. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna do git add Docker file. I'm gonna do git commit. I'm gonna say add Docker file containerized. Containers are so cool. Okay, now so if I do this, Sam's gonna deny this spam. He's like, you can't make that comment in your PR, right? He's gonna look at the git log. He's like, don't say containers are so cool. Moreover, Sam wants me to change the Docker file to have his name. He wants all the credit, right? So So I'm gonna say Sam here, and I'm gonna change this to student
Unlike
06
you, I actually make call-ups that make sense so you can listen
at
to them.
chadpace.com. Oh, sorry, Sam at gigachad.com.
That's what I was looking for.
Yep. Okay. So if I do get diff here, I see. Okay, I obviously want to make a change. I made a change, but I don't want to create a new commit. Actually, what I want to do is I want to take this change and roll it into the previous commit. To do that, I can do git commit amend Docker file. And what I can do here is it's going to take those changes and incorporate it into that existing diff. Now, if I do git show, for instance, it will say it doesn't have the previous pbuoy. It will say Sam at gigachad.com. Right. So that's a cool trick if you're using Git that you can do. You can make that change. Okay. Now, suppose I make another change here, and Sam's like, you know what? I don't want these stupid empty blanks here. Let's get rid of all those. Okay, let's do git add Docker file. Git commit. Let's do m remove spaces. So now if I do git log, I now have two separate commits. Once again, Sam's gonna be like, bro, why do you have two commits? I want just one commit. I want all the changes in one single thing. We call this squashing. To do a git squash, what you do is you find the commit tag, that is the hash of the commit before you want to squash. So I want to squash this one, this 8cd. This is the one before it. So I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do git rebase -i, put in that paste. And what this allows me to do is I can modify my history. So what I can do is say, you know what? This change I want to squash, that is roll up into the previous commit. So if you do this with git, it actually tells you what the commands are. So for instance, you can pick which commits to use, which ones you want to edit. Maybe you just want to reword something, right? I'm going to squash this. It's going to say, here are the two commits. How do you want to combine them? So I'm just going to remove that. I'm going to remove this comment as well. And now if I do git log, I now have just one commit. So this is actually something many open source projects will ask you to do. They will actually ask you to, if you have a bunch of commits, but it's only one change, they'll ask you to squash it by doing the rebase. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do a push. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to PR to Sam's repo. So, GitHub. So, you want to pull up Chad Stride here, Zephan?
Yep, I've got it up.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and so I'm going to do a pull request here. I'm going to do create pull requests. So I created pull request to Sam. So it's issue or it's PR 41. So, you know, Sam can choose to reject or accept it. But that's basically all I really want to show about Git and Docker. There's so much more that you can do with it. Sam said ship it. There's so much more you can do with Docker and Git. I just want to give you a taste of sort of some of the things that, you know, we don't talk about in class, things you may not be aware of. You know, for all my classes, I create a Docker image for every class. So every time you make a commit, it runs that Docker image to compile and test your code. And I do that by doing the Docker file that I described. So if you actually look at your assignments repositories, you will see that Docker file I use to create that. So if you want to replicate the same environment that you use on GitHub or GitLab for the CI, all you have to do is do Docker run, the name of that Docker image, and you're good to go. So I guess, are there any questions? Anything like that? I'm going to stop sharing. So, Zeph,
Yo,
Gavin, do you guys have any questions? I don't know.
I asked mine as we went. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm all set. That was very good. Thanks for sharing.
All right. So, if there's no questions from chat, I'm not sure how many people we lost, but
I accidentally
Sorry
split it up.
for-
Sorry about that.
sorry for class 2.0. I guess we can wrap up the show with our weekly COVID corner.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I don't remember them.
I closed the thing. Let me open that real quick.
So we got a couple articles in our COVID corner. The first article is the big one. So as many of you know, a certain president got COVID. I'm talking about Father Jenkins here. So Zeph,
Yo,
Gavin, what's your reaction to this, man? Should he resign? Should he step down? That's what people are asking for.
not just students, but apparently faculty as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Listen, I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm not sure I can speak ill of the
Yeah, wait, can we
here
say
in
anything
the
bad about
admissions
Jenkins?
office.
I don't want
I'm
like
just here so I don't get fined.
I don't want like the white vans to show up outside
Yeah,
Palmer.
man. I don't want the negative to turn to a positive on my next surveillance test
Yeah,
by
exactly.
some mysterious circumstances because Jenkins is listening to this conversation. You know?
Are you
Got ears everywhere.
Are you worried about the impression this makes at the wider community or the messaging that we're sending?
Not really.
Oh, you mean like the South Bend community? Is
Yeah.
that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh.
don't know. I'm like,
Yeah, it's
I'm
already
really
pretty
torn on
dicey for the South Bend community that we went back in the first place because we really brought
So if
together
you-
all these people.
If you look at the fourth article on the list of for COVID corner, the case, see Charles, the number of cases in
Charles.
South Bend, the number of hospitalizations, deaths, and everything else is going up in South Bend. And so, not this one, I think there's a Tribune one. And so
one about county
So-
officials.
Yeah, I found it.
St. Joe's is not in a good spot right now, and they might actually roll back some of the reopening stuff and do some more lockdowns, particularly at bars and restaurants, because we're at the same level we were in April,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
when we shut down.
Well, the
And
thing is,
so-
like we reopen, right? And then COVID still exists. So as soon as you reopen and allow people to gather more, then you have a spike in cases.
I guess my larger question to you both is: do you sense among the students that there's like fatigue? Like people are just like, you know what? It's not a big deal. It hasn't been a big deal. Jenkins is doing it. Whatever. Like maybe I can hang out with some more friends. Maybe I can go to more restaurants. Maybe I can not wear the mask as often. Do you sense like there's fatigue setting in, or do you think people are still vigilant?
Honestly, I don't think so.
I was gonna say I kind of get that sense from some people. I think it varies.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, no, but like there are definitely a sizable amount of people who are fatigued.
Yeah, let me like clarify that a bit. I think that for the
Sorry, yeah.
people who have already decided on like a level of socialization that they deem acceptable, I don't think they've changed that anymore. I don't think they've said, okay, well now maybe I can hang out with even more people. But I think for the people who came in, or at least some of the people who came in, like super adhering to all of Notre Dame's guidelines, I think they're sort of seeing a bit, more fatigue.
Agreed there. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I was honestly shocked when I found out that bars and restaurants were going to operate or open at full capacity.
Wait,
a week or two ago. I think it was in state of Indiana a week or two ago. I was like,
In
Indiana,
that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like
that's
eating and drinking is literally such an easy way to spread the coronavirus.
That's what happened to the football team.
And that's what happened to the football team. Like,
we have the anecdotal evidence to show that that's bad, and I think also the hard evidence.
There's science. Yeah,
bad.
I was gonna say there's.
Now, I guess so. I don't know what happened to Dunn Hall. Does anyone know what happened to Dunn? So in one of the articles, it says the whole staff, including the rector, is now in quarantine.
Yeah, they have no staff now in Dunn.
What happened?
It's anarchy.
Does anyone know what happened?
I don't think they've. I think we would need like a Dunn resident to say, because they obviously haven't released anything about like how they got it. Oh, I took complaints. I would read that on stream, but
oh, so they had a staff meeting and one person tested positive.
Does that mean they haven't all
tested
why did
positive? Why did
they
meet in person? But why did they meet in person?
Yeah,
you can have a staff meeting on Zoom.
Meetings in person, but like, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so I guess my other question, then we can wrap this up because people have to go to bed.
Yeah.
Is now that we're 2/3 of the way done with this semester, you've experienced in person, hybrid in person. You've experienced hybrid online.
Yep.
You may have experienced full online. Looking to the spring, what mode of class would you prefer?
I'm a big hybrid fan at this point in time.
Me too.
I definitely like in person more than not in person. But I mean, like, this is gonna sound bad, but like even before we were living in a pandemic, I was probably already a bit of a hybrid student with some classes. Like I would watch Panoptos instead of going to class in some cases. So I can't say my routine has changed a ton. I still like go to all my lectures, right? But I just don't always go to them at a synced lecture or however they call it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just like, it just gives you more options. I think it's a lot more conducive to everyone's preferences if you're offering a hybrid model. So
as long as it's safe enough to do so, I guess.
Right.
Although it seems like there hasn't been too many problems with classes in terms of like contact tracing. So
yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I guess we haven't really heard of any sort of need for that, like the seating chart.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they still use it.
I think they do.
Notify people.
But people don't even show up to class sometimes, so.
Yeah.
I filled out the seating chart for Jordan Hall of Science, and I was like, all right, like, I don't know what the last row is, so I put Z. And then now every time when I go to Algs, I'm like seat number 92. So I'm like, oh shit, like I guess they're never going to be able to contact trace for me.
Yeah.
Because they think I'm in row Z and it doesn't exist.
Well, the reason why I asked this is because, this semester I had the accommodation where I got to do one class online and I did one class hybrid, so in person. I just filled out the form. I'm not going to ask for accommodation. And the reason for that is because systems is a sophomore class, they want all first year, second year courses to be in person.
Mm-hmm.
So if I requested accommodation because I felt unsafe or whatever, I could teach systems. And I can't imagine life not teaching systems. So I'm going to do it in person. And to be honest, I prefer in person. But I actually don't like hybrid.
Yeah,
and so
which we've sort of alluded to before on the podcast about how
so it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird, but
very different.
But it sounds like students are happy with hybrid. So I'm
It's definitely
happy to
better than
accommodate
online
that.
only, right?
Yeah.
Right, Gavin, you would agree?
I would totally agree. Yeah, I don't think there are many people in the camp of online only as
I can
like the
think
best
of
case
one person
scenario.
from Kentucky.
Only true, true. I was gonna say like I'm all in favor of online only. Like when, like for example, at the beginning of the semester, I was like, we should have gone online. Like that was the right thing to do. Um, I think most people are like that, where online only is kind of like a last resort type thing, or like a preventative / reactionary thing, not something to like reach for.
Yeah.
No one. That's not ideal.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the course though, right? Like,
Mhm. True.
like PC is taught in the summer online. I've
Yeah.
done it twice. It's online
it's
this
fine.
semester. I mean, I'm sure the students will roast me in my SIFs, right?
But
like,
they already did that. Like that's not gonna.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
but
they were gonna
yeah,
do that regardless.
I think PC online is fine even now.
Yeah.
So, but I agree though. Systems online only would be disaster.
Tough. Yeah.
Disaster.
What
Are you
do you
guys looking
think?
forward? Are you guys looking forward to the game this weekend?
Yeah.
We'll see if it gets postponed again last minute.
I was gonna say, hopefully, knock on wood. Hopefully, we still have it. Definitely looking forward to it though. Night games are always hype. We got a senior social tailgate thing. 2
Yep.
free drinks per senior.
What? No.
Yeah,
for the
2 free
game,
drinks each senior.
And free food.
And free food.
Like real drinks? Real drinks are like
you
They
have to
got
have an
IPAs.
ID. Yeah.
They got IPA.
no.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You could probably come, Bowie. They wouldn't.
Is this
know.
is
You
in the
look like a
stadium or like in the
student
parking
anyways.
lot? Is this in the stadium or the parking
No,
lot?
it's off. It's technically off campus, or not.
It's off. Yeah, it's not even on campus.
Yeah, it's technically off campus.
Oh,
It's
this is
technically
like
right across the
student
street.
council or what?
it's
Is this
the
student
It's the
council or something?
off-campus student, whatever they call it.
It's like off-campus council. I think,
Off-campus
or
council,
off-campus. Yeah, something like that.
So
It's
they're
what Sam and
encouraging
Iman
this-
could have been.
they're encouraging students to go off campus to drink and
Yes.
then go back on campus.
Yes. Well, it's at the
Okay.
edge
Well, I mean,
of
most
campus,
seniors
so
are-
it's like
are off.
It's literally connected to campus. And I guess
Okay, sorry, Gavin.
Gavin said they're probably assuming that most of the seniors are off campus.
Gavin, you're about to say something. What did you want to ask?
Oh. Well, it was while we were still talking about school /
Go for it.
online stuff. Well, I was just
Okay,
gonna
it's
say
fine.
like, I just was curious, like just thinking about like office hours and stuff like that. Like, do you think if systems were in person, you would still have people coming to in-person office hours? Not I guess not if it was in person. If it was hybrid, do you think, like, these are sophomores, like they probably, if there's a big class, there's probably greater odds of some people going to office hours fairly regularly. So that's still
have
going to
no
be
idea.
the case.
I mean, maybe Zephin or Emery, you might have a better idea. Are people going to your office hours? Are they in
Honestly,
person?
It seems like the online office hours, or like it seems like office hours, at least these semesters, are like people just don't feel as motivated to attend them, or maybe as they don't want, like they're not as easy to attend or something like that. All of the logic design office hours are online only.
Oh, that's so tough. Yeah.
And have they gone? Have people showed up?
Attendance has been pretty darn light. I mean, it's a smaller class than like last semester, for example. This is the small class semester, but it's brutal, honestly. I've really enjoyed
think-
like our labs are in person, and I've like it's been such a breath of fresh air to like help people in person in the labs. So it really makes me miss the OH. And Emery is saying, yes, they are awful, and she might do in person next week for the midterm project.
Yeah.
I think this semester I've had maybe 3 people contact me for online office hours for programming challenges thus far. I mean, I get a few DMs, but not as much. I mean, it's PC. Most people figure it out. It's
Do you
fine.
feel less approachable to students because it's online, like a lot, or mostly online?
Well, I'm weird because I don't like sit in Zoom for my online office hours. I just say Slack me, and then if necessary, I'll Zoom you.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I just answer because I'm usually multiplexing between like 5 different groups when I am doing it. Although these days I'm mostly likely playing Minecraft Dungeons.
Yeah.
Well,
Waiting
sorry, I didn't say
desperately for
that.
social contact.
Yeah, but this semester I've had. I mean, I complained about this already. Very little office hours traffic. I think last podcast I mentioned this, so Nolan has started coming to my office hours, and
Yeah.
like he's now like the camper in my office, which is fine. I finally have an Asian friend again, so you know. It's sorry, Nolan. And so, but like next semester, I have no idea. Like, I don't know if the softs will be conditioned to be like, we don't go to office hours. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
don't do that. I don't know if they're going to be scared of getting sick or it's unsafe.
That
I
seems less
moved
of a concern
upstairs.
from what I've experienced.
Well, I moved upstairs to be away from students.
Yeah.
You know, like to me, the bigger question is, will students work in groups again?
Yeah.
You know, like to me, like what I always loved doing is I loved walking through Duncan on the way to my car, going to the innovation lounge, seeing people working, and I would just talk to them. Sometimes I help, sometimes I roast them, whatever, right? But like that was fine. I loved that people could come to my office, sit there and work with other
Yeah.
people, or even outside in the hallway, right? I don't know if students are gonna feel comfortable enough to work with other students like that. And to me, that's the real missing element part. It's not necessarily
Yeah, that's a
interacting
good
with
point.
me. It's about students working with each other. And I feel like that's not happening, and that's what worries more than people coming to see me.
Yeah.
If they never come see me, I'll be sad, but like that's fine if they're learning. My fear is that they're not learning because they're not able to work with other people. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Cute. Yeah.
Unless they have like roommates who are the same major and in the same class, then it's
Which
pretty
is
tough.
probably gonna be pretty rare.
Yeah.
It's gonna be pretty
Yeah.
rare.
Definitely gonna be rare if you're freshman or
And
sophomore.
so that's my worry is that, you know, for OS, it's understandable that they don't necessarily need to come see me. I'm not too worried about them because they've already made their own friend groups. They can use the GroupMe or the Discord, whatever backdoor cheating service they use. I mean, discussion service they use, right? Like, they have their own network and the infrastructure for that.
Yeah.
My worry, though, is for sophomores. If you guys think about it, right? Spring of sophomore year was when most people found their CS friend, found their friend group. You sort of,
They're
you know,
they're suffering
the,
group.
yeah, you know, King Richard III, right? You have your band of brothers because you fought through this war and you suffered together,
Yep.
right? Or whatever the play was, I don't remember, right? But that's not going to happen if each person is in their dorm room, you know,
Yeah.
Ellising by themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't feel like I can simply say you guys should really go to the Commons or the Innovation Lounge and work next to each other. Like, I can't be promoting not social distancing, right?
Not if you want
But
to keep
at the
your
same
job.
time, but at the same time, I'm like, you really need to work with other people. You need to bounce ideas off. To go back to what we were saying earlier, right, about the idea of persistence, right? One way to get that persistence is being around people that will encourage you, that will help you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or
Very
even
true.
if they're just suffering as well.
Exactly.
See, maybe there's a silver lining here, though, and this current time and context we're living in could usher in a new era of Richard Stallmans. People who just grow their hair out,
This
don't
we
really
could
leave
be
their
making
room, work on Bash scripts all day, and
Yeah.
write C. And
this might
you know,
actually
we
usher in
could
the
we
year
could
of
be the
Linux
next
desktop.
generation.
I can bring
Yeah.
a mattress to my office. Will that help?
Oh God!
No, please stop. Please stop.
None of that.
No.
None of that.
That's how.
He did actually do that, right, Stallman?
Yeah, he did.
Dude,
He
that's
did.
whack. What a weirdo.
Dude, I should just add a hammock to my office.
Oh, please. No.
All right. On that note, I think we can wrap it up.
Great.
All right. I don't know if we have anything planned for next week. Two things I want to bring up before we go is one thing we are considering is a ND Lug mask this year, either in addition or instead of a T-shirt. So one thing is if you have a design or you have an idea for an ND Lug mask, because I'm pretty sure we're going to wear a mask next semester. That'd be fun.
We should.
Another thing is traditionally we had an event called Lugsgiving in the fall, which was a potluck at my house. You're not coming to my house this year. Plus,
What?
you'll be gone. Plus, you'll be gone by the time that traditionally happens. So, AKK and I were bouncing around this idea. What do you think about a lug-a-ween? So, this is basically a kind of like a potluck where you bring individually packaged goodies. So, if Emery wants to make cookies or treats or whatever and saran wraps them, that's fine. If you want to buy something from Martin's or Costco, that's fine. But basically, we get together because SAO is allowing meetings of up to 20 students now, and Lug probably doesn't have more than 15. And so we can meet, we can just hang out by the fire pits or whatever, pass out the treats, safely, socially distance. If you're uncomfortable, you don't have to come. But something to consider is that we can have, a get together near the end of October, just talk about whatever. I think that'll be fun. We haven't met as a club or group yet. SAO is allowing this. It should be legal. We'll try to keep it as safe as possible. If you want to be involved in this, if you want to contribute some treats, I think this is something we can do. So yeah, if you want to wear costumes, that'd be a lot of fun too. So
just everyone shows
something
up as
keep in mind.
tux. We just like an army of tux.
No, just literally wear a tux.
Oh my god. But you could be
It's a
tux
black
in a
tie
tux.
event.
Or come dressed as RMS.
Can you come dressed as RMS? Like,
No.
please, and we can
I
take a
can't pull-
picture
I
of you
can't-
and immortalize it on the internet.
Dude, I'm getting there with my hair. I'm on my way.
You have a little bit more to go, Gavin.
Yeah. Need
All
some
right.
a touch of gray from Just for Men, and I'll be set.
Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap this up, Gavin.
All right.
You gotta
Any-
say something.
Any parting words from me? Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Nothing really. If you haven't done your Spamtoberfest, make your README changes. That's all I got.
Zephin.
If you're gonna tinker with your computer, please do it in a VM. Don't nuke your files or use a Docker container.
Amazing project, everybody. We'll see you next week.
See y'all.
Thank you.
All right, we all done?
We're all done.
All right, thanks, guys.